Thanks so much for listening to me today. I'm really honored to be here. Thank you, Drew, for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here. You guys are all so magical and inspiring to me, and most of all, I'm like pretty perplexed as to why I was invited to speak here. I've been asked to do a couple of talks this month, and I'm completely a newbie at this. So of course, the first thing I did was kind of look up other talks, like TED Talks and creative morning stuff, and kind of see what the best talks had in common. And they were always either A, had this really sexy foreign accent, which I don't have, or they've created like a special product or business they're really proud of, where they can say this is their life's work. That's not something that I've done. This kind of sums up where I am right now. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm definitely on my way. I'm in a good place of really good momentum right now, but I can't say that I've really started on my life's work yet, keyword yet. A lot of speakers also talk about kind of how they came out of their formative years and took a lot of lessons out of it. I'm in my formative years, so if you guys have any advice for me later, that would be really awesome. And I think that's a big reason is because it's taken me a while to kind of come out of the environment that I was in, and I was kind of guilty about pursuing design for a while, which is something that I'm happy to say is not true anymore, but this is kind of what I was working with in the beginning. I kind of grew up in a anti-creative environment. I don't know if any of you guys are from Silicon Valley, but is anybody from the Silicon Valley? So I'm not from like the north and like cool artsy part of it. I'm definitely from like the boonies, like the south, near like the farms and stuff. So I feel like the question was never like, oh, you want to be a graphic designer. It's more of, oh, how cute, she wants to do design. I wonder when she's going to realize that she actually wants to be a doctor when she grows up. And because of that, my parents didn't really support me in going to design school or even pursuing a design degree. So I went to I went to UCSD, where they didn't offer a degree in design. I think they were hoping that I would kind of keep an open mind to maybe having a more logical career. So as a result, I didn't kind of fit in anywhere. I was a studio art major, and I was totally a sellout in everybody's eyes because I wasn't so interested in maybe dipping my hair in like weird substances and like painting murals with it. I wanted to make things that were communicative and actually relevant and functional, and I got really bad grades because of that. So that was not a supportive environment for me, but I knew that design was kind of my calling, so I pushed on with it. But I kind of think that a lot of the lessons and or kind of milestones in my life are very juvenile, and that's because I discovered them in a very lonely way. I would be in my room and I'd be like, oh, typography, like people are actually in this field and that's cool, and like nobody would care. And because of that, I didn't really have like design friends or a design community. I obviously, found havens online on Behance or Dribbble, where people would respond to my work and actually give me creative and like constructive feedback. But other than that, it's really hard to kind of push forward independently when you don't have somebody to tell you, right, like you're valid in thinking that this is going to be relevant in the world. So my segment is going to be more of notes to myself and personal milestones. So as a forewarning, compared to all the other talks previously, it's a little bit self-indulgent and a little juvenile, but I think that's because that's kind of the way it is in the beginning when you're pursuing something and maybe you feel alone in your field. So if there's any takeaway from it, I hope that it's that maybe we can all refresh our minds and kind of reappreciate what our main motivations were when we chose to pursue a career in design or development. Because once you've mastered some new thing, that thing is only considered new for about the next 5 minutes until something else comes along. So I think that's a good mentality to keep in mind. So I was asked a lot in college to do stuff. I totally skipped this part, but I'll go back to it. The reason why I kind of showed the obstacles in my way is because I think not as much as a disclaimer, but I think I came out of it kind of more motivated and kind of more determined to be a really great designer because of it. Because I didn't have so much of a supportive, creative environment, I was like super proactive, and I get really excited and really jittery when something good happens. I still get really like way too childishly excited when like From Up North like features one of my designs. I'm like, oh my gosh, the world is acknowledging me as a designer, and that's really cool. And because I didn't go to design school or have that major, my foundation is very Swiss cheesy. It's very like, there's a bunch of, I don't know how to do things, like really basic things in Photoshop and Illustrator, but because I learned things very based on as I was curious about them, or as I realized I needed to learn them, I remember why I learned each thing, and I remember, it's not because it was part of a curriculum so much as I knew this was something I had to do. So each thing I learned was very important to me in that personal way. And I put a question mark there because I don't know what good comes out of not having design friends. That just kind of sucks. So that's a big driving factor in me being here today. So I was asked in college a lot to do, like out of college too. I know I look young, it's because I am young, to do, art and design stuff, because I was like that person, as I'm sure like all of you can relate to. It was like, oh, you draw and stuff, right? Like do our logo or do our t-shirt or whatever. So I would. And one of the first projects I did was I got the opportunity to design the labels for a beer company in Sweden. It's really random. And kind of the only definitive prompt that I got was that the name of the company, Finual, I'm sorry if there's Swedish speakers in the audience, but that means good beer in Swedish. And that's kind of all I got. And I didn't know much about design then, so I had this feeling in my mind that I wanted the words to say more than just the sum of their letters, and I wanted them to like depict something, because I didn't understand Swedish, but I wanted the feeling of good beer to come out in the Swedish. So that's when I discovered that typography is a thing, and nobody cared. But I was really excited because I discovered that I really love playing with letters. And so this is what I came up with. This was the final label this was like 2 years ago, because I'm like that fresh as a designer. I'm really fresh, I'm just gonna put that out there. And this is the final packaging that came out of it, and they seemed to be pretty happy with it. So in this way I was pretty satisfied, because I was like, I don't understand Swedish, but I think I get the general feeling of what they're going for. So I also, started doing like work for older friends that had startups, and I would do logos for them, and I would realize that I would get like really bossy and overprotective the logo if they maybe put on a business card and it was like too little of a margin, or maybe they put it in like a color that was just a little bit off, and I would get like all queasy, as I'm sure you guys would all relate to. And then I realized that branding is a thing. I was like, oh, that's what it means to be an identity designer, if you're really uncomfortable with people messing with the logo. So I totally embraced this, and that's when I think I really took off as a designer, because I realized that I could really make an impact and mold things as I saw them, and it wasn't just a matter of like making like pretty making or decor. So I went on to do a lot of identity projects, and this is for my dad, because we all work for your parents when you can't get anyone else to ask you to do work. So he had an acupuncture clinic, and I did some logos and like fun stamps for him. And this is also kind of the point when I really learned a valuable lesson for me personally, because I realized that presentation is really everything, especially being kind of a small girl. I wanted to look like I had the caliber of a full-fledged studio, and for me that was really hard, because I knew that I was like this fun-sized freelance designer, like in her pajamas, like in her room designing these things, but I wanted people to perceive me as somebody that needed to be respected, because I was putting all my heart into it. I was putting a lot of passion and work and research into everything. So this is when I started like faking, like I don't do this anymore, but you guys can all see through this. But I was like, I'll put up grids and stuff, and maybe they'll think I'm really legitimate. And they did. They were like, wow, you really geometrically measured things out, and I really hadn't. I put those up after. But but that helps, and that taught me that later on it's really important to show people really how much work you've put into it, and that you've really considered it, because there are other designers out there that maybe just think, oh, this is pretty, I'll send this to them as a kind of as a concept, whereas I really feel that I I do put a lot of research and work into it, so I want them to appreciate that. So this is a kind of like a wine branding I did when I was still in college. So this is all still like me being lonely and wanting to pursue a career in design. And I got the opportunity to. Is anyone from Seattle? I've never been to this salon, but I branded it. So if you ever need hair services, that was fun for me. My friends still didn't really understand what it was I was doing. The internet is awesome. So once I moved to LA, it was kind of like a major milestone for me because that was kind of the turning point. And I started working for a company called Pure Fix Cycles. It's kind of a fixed-gear bicycle company. And here was when I really learned that even if I didn't know how to do something, there's always a way to learn about it. And I had such low self-esteem in the beginning because I hadn't been to a design class before, and I hadn't ever had experience with packaging or product design or marketing. And at first I was really timid, but I think throughout the year that I worked here, I realized that if there's anybody to do it, it's you, and they asked you for a reason. So I kind of started with things that I was familiar with, like print design, marketing stuff. And then, again, you can see how I'm just kind of in love with toying with type. And this was kind of like a year ago, because my design career has been so long. It's been 2 whopping years. Does anyone ride a Pure Fix bike or know the company? Awesome. So this is, it was really awesome because they really were open to me expressing myself creatively, because I knew that I was at the cusp of something. I knew I wanted to be a designer, and I had really put my head so far, deeply into it, because I was so fearful that I wouldn't become one. Maybe this sounds ridiculous to all of you, but I was so fearful because I hadn't had the background, and I didn't know anybody, and I didn't know if I would make it, that I kind of forgot to play and have fun. And this is kind of the point in my career when I realized that part of our jobs a huge part of it is play. So I'm really grateful that they allowed me to do that, and these kind of became like a cool collector's item, just like some little bike events. And then I got to do some actual elements on the bikes, like hang tags and badges and stickers and such. So that was fun. And I was the only designer, so I was the creative director and the junior graphic designer and everyone else that had a say in what to do. So all the work was kind of thrown at me, and I loved it. I don't know if you can see that, but that was kind of the more, can you see that? That was the more, we'll go to this one, rewarding project that I've done is actually be able to design on a bike, and it's cool to see this around town, and it's served as really great validation for me that I could do this and that people were recognizing me as a graphic designer. So I hope that some of you can relate to this, and I'm not still alone. So during my lunch breaks at Pure Fix, I really started to kind of stemming off of them allowing me to explore creatively, kind of just doodle and kind of actually start listening to those silly ideas that would pop up in my head. This is just play, obviously, it's not for a client or anything. And I would just do stuff like I didn't know if anybody would appreciate this, but then I started to throw these up on Instagram and stuff, and the response I got was positive, and that was surprising to me because everything is. And I remember distinctly when I kind of drew letters one time, and somebody commented, "Wow, you're such a great hashtag hand letterer," and I was like, "What's that?" And so we live in a great time. I clicked the hashtag, and I was like, a whole new world opened up, just like when typography and branding did. So lettering is the thing. And that was an awesome moment for me, and it still is. And it's so therapeutic for me to draw letters. And as I did more and more, I guess people started to kind of recognize my style or follow me or actually want me to kind of collaborate and work on things. And that was the first time that I think I was being noticed by people in the same field that I wanted to be in. And it was fun. So to me, that was kind of a perfect merge of those worlds. So Yeah, I was just playing. I'd be like eating my salad and doing this at lunch. And as I was getting more attention on that platform, I also, obviously started following people that I was really motivated by, as I think, we all should. And I really admired what their job titles were, or their positions. And I wondered for a long time how to get there, how to be where they were, like Dana Tanamachi or whatever. And I just so admired them. And I realized that maybe the way to get to where you want to be is kind of to do it first. And then people will see you that way. I've been telling people for so long that I wanted to be this or that. And, anybody can say that. But I think it's really when I started to put a little bit more effort into the things that I was doing that nobody really has to ask, and you don't really have to tell people because you've already done the work. And in the beginning, it's not for a client maybe, but you're kind of establishing that title for yourself. So, and I'm not complaining because it was completely just fun for me. And also, still, again, recurring theme, really surprising when people I think some guy on Instagram was like, I'm gonna get this as my tattoo, and he's really gonna get this as his tattoo, which freaks me out a little bit. But I don't have any updates on that yet. And then just silly hand lettering stuff, I'd see quotes that would inspire me. And I didn't like this one. I thought, I don't know if I want to get into this whole motivational lettering thing, because I see it on Pinterest all the time. And the internet is so saturated by it that it kind of annoys me. So I finished this and I was like, oh, well, whatever. And of course, overnight, it kind of blows up. And now people expect me to do motivational stuff all the time, which I'm not sure if I'm ready for. I actually heard that this is going to be in Glamour magazine in August, which I'm I'm really thankful. But do you guys ever have that feeling that you wish it was something else? So no, I'm really thankful this is going to be on the internet. So yeah, I would start doing things that other people were doing, who I was really inspired by, but in my own way. My work was nice enough to provide me with a chalk wall, and I would just play all day. And this is when I was realizing that, people notice if you are going kind of not necessarily above and beyond, but you're really doing it out of passion and not because you're going through the motions or you're trying to just get the next best job title, the next job, which is what I was doing before. Does anyone watch Game of Thrones? So yeah, this is all lunch break stuff or when I'm supposed to be doing other work. So yeah, this is definitely, and at this point too, is that recurring thing that comes back, is that I really want to make things that are kind of unexpected of me, but in a good way. I'm aware of my appearance, and I kind of want people following me on Twitter right now. I should turn this off. And I'm very aware of kind of the imbalance in the industry of let's just be honest, males versus females, and that's a huge motivating factor for me, is that I want to kind of be a voice, be a valid voice, kind of for girls that maybe, I don't want people to expect that maybe when they hire me that I'm just going to be making wedding invitations or doing scripty stuff. I want to be badass too. So, so that's a huge driving force for me, and I think that the takeaway, at least for myself, and I hope for some of you, is that that kind of the path to things. And I know that I'm still in the beginning, and I haven't kind of achieved anything that is that I'm completely oh, this is me, this is my company, or this is my product. But the path isn't linear. I was so convinced for the longest time that I was so jealous of graphic design students and how they could just kind of put their heads down and do their work, and at the end of their senior year, someone would approach them and offer them something. But now I'm really grateful that I was able to kind of be really mindful at every moment and kind of every morning refresh and rethink about why I was doing what I was doing. And so that makes me kind of more sure that I am where I'm supposed to be, if that makes any sense. And there's absolutely no guilt in doing passion projects, because in the beginning I felt like just the weird art kid on the side that was drawing stuff, and and now to be kind of validated for that by people that are in my field or outside of my field, kind of is really good proof that, you know, so if it's not like going to be something that's really impactful for everybody maybe, it's going to affect somebody. I have, you know, emails from people that are maybe parents of kids who thought, you know, their kid was just incompetent when they were, you know, pursuing art as a career, but now, you know, seeing my work or seeing my peers' work, they realize that this is a very valid career and it's very relevant and they can be a functioning member of society. Thanks for following me. So in the future, you know, something's, oh my gosh, I have like no Twitter followers, this is embarrassing. In the future, some things that I want to do, because I'm kind of frustrated this conference came before, before I was able to actually put anything down that I'm like, follow me or like buy my stuff. I do want to create my own brand. I want to, you know, freelance more and work for people that I know you guys are just doing this on purpose, that people that I like and are inspired by and not be driven by kind of the corporate mindset that I was before, where I just wanted to be acknowledged as a designer. Now, you know, it's really driven by expressing myself, and hopefully somebody will listen, somebody will be impacted by it. So I should also invest in better pens. I only have Bic 12-pack pens. Yeah, so if anybody has advice on what pens I should get, that'd be really cool too. So that wraps it up. Thank you.